consideration for you. So again, our training today is brought to you by our partners over at San Bernardino County. And today we are so happy to be joined by Carmela Giliberto, Business Services Specialist, and Angelica Villaseñor, Business Services Representative, who are both here to share more about the resources available to employers like yourself. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Thank you, Anna and Keisha and the entire team of CEA putting this workshop together. San Bernardino County Workforce Development Business Services is here to support your recruiting, hiring, and training needs. We have 3 America's Job Centers, one in Victorville, San Bernardino, and the other in Rancho Cucamonga. Services available to businesses in the county of San Bernardino, as you can see in the flyer. One of our very popular services is on-the-job training. You can receive up to 480 hours of training for new hires or existing employees. Employers may be reimbursed up to 50% of wages during the training period, including for incumbent workers who take on new responsibilities with the wage increase. Employer recruitment and hiring events. Our team can coordinate customized recruitments events at your businesses and or at one of our locations, managing marketing and logistics. Additionally, we host monthly hiring events across the county, connecting employers with talented job seekers. Job seekers can range from about 200 to 150 per event. We are hosting one tomorrow in Fontana. Feel free to log on to Eventbrite and join us. And I have Carmela Giliberto to talk about some of our other fabulous services that we provide. Carmela?
Thank you, Angelica. And thank you for joining again our fabulous workshop right now. Please make sure to register early for next month's Employer of Choice series, like Anna mentioned. Guys, it's 3 sessions in the month of April, from 8:30 to 10:30 in the morning, with special topics to get you to be the employer of choice. So if you complete all 3, you'll even get a physical certificate of completion. So click on the link now, save your spot on the chat, okay? As a business service specialist, I also help businesses in need of business improvements. So if you need incumbent worker training, social media marketing, leadership training, if you're a manufacturer that could get help by having some lean improvements, Kaizen, to increase productivity and therefore prevent layoffs. And if you have over 10 employees and are experiencing some challenges, give me a call. We can help. We have funds still available for this. We also recently rolled out an exciting transitional job program. Think of it like a part-time paid internship where the county is the employer and will provide businesses with candidates for your consideration for up to 320 hours. It's a win-win. So you can get additional help while giving our unemployed job seekers the opportunity to gain work experience. Want to save money? Take advantage of our complimentary HR hotline, 1-877-282-3763, as you see here in the flyer. We also have an employer toolkit where you can have access to various resources as well as links to our partners in San Bernardino County. And please save our website, workforce.sbcounty.gov, to access our calendar of this workshop and future events. So if you guys, if you're interested in any of these services, we'll put our information in the chat. Reach out to us so we can set up an appointment to discuss them in further detail at your convenience. Thanks again so much for your time. Without further ado, I'll give you back to our beautiful Anna and our fabulous speaker, Keisha.
All right. Thank you both and to your entire team for everything that you do for employers in your county. Such amazing resources there that I hope everyone takes full advantage of. So now I'd love to introduce our trainer today. We have Keisha Hansen, who is our amazing learning and development director. So you're in great hands. And Keisha, it is all yours.
Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you, everybody. Always lovely to partner with San Bernardino Workforce Development Board. I'm proud to say I've been to all 3 of those locations that Angelica mentioned, even Victorville, So if you are joining us for the first time, just wanted to give you a brief description of California Employers Association. We are a human resource consulting company. We work with employers throughout the state of California, all different industries and beyond, sometimes even out of California. Our goal is really to provide employers with peace of mind through our exceptional human resource compliance solutions, our subject matter experts. We can do trainings such as these. We can do them on site for your company or virtually. And we also offer additional coaching services, forms, and tools. So if that piques your interest, you can use that special 800 number that Carmela listed and give us a call and ask us any questions. I want to give our lawyers peace of mind really quick to let you know that this presentation shouldn't be relied upon as legal advice. We do recommend you consult an attorney about any issues of legal significance. If you are looking for an attorney, we do partner with several attorneys throughout the state of California. So feel free to give us a call and hopefully we can partner you with someone in your area. In the short time we have today, we are talking about wellness, and we're also talking about what stress and burnout actually look like in our modern workplace, because we are in a burnout area. According to Forbes, in 2025, 66% of our employees reported experiences of burnout. So we'll talk about what does it look like, how we define it, and also discuss some strategies for you as managers and leaders, especially to address and prevent burnout at work. We'll also touch on some key areas of wellness, and most importantly, how organizations can embed well-being into their culture, right? Wellness isn't just a program we create anymore. It's really about creating our culture to significantly represent well-being and wellness for our employees, so that we can provide a sustainable, healthy, and positive work environment. If you look at this statistic by Gallup, and if you're not familiar with Gallup, they're an organization that does a lot of research on employee engagement, on well-being, and other topics related to the workplace. They've been around for a long time. We value their information. And this is from 2025, where in a survey, 22% of employees said they strongly agree that their organization cares about their overall well-being. So really that means roughly 1 in 10 employees, their organizations care about their overall well-being and are doing something about it. And Gallup research demonstrates that well-being and engagement are deeply connected, right? Really influencing the key outcomes that we want as employers, like productivity, retention, and even preventing burnout for our employees. Employees who do agree that their organizations care about their well-being are usually about 4.5 times as likely to be engaged on the job in the workplace and 73% less likely to experience frequent burnout. So really important that we invest in the well-being of our employees so that we do have higher engagement, higher productivity, higher retention, all of that great stuff. Before we get into talking about the definitions of stress, I kind of want to gauge and also get your interaction as well, how you're feeling right now with stress. There's a lot going on in this world. So it's important that we, especially if we are in positions of leadership, to kind of gauge every now and then, how are we doing? Not just rush through the day or life, but kind of gauge, where am I at, especially in my individual workplace. You know, am I feeling a lot of stress right now? If I am, is it temporary? Is it because we're in a busy season? What are some of the stressors that are causing me this high stress? Is it high, but I'm managing it? Is it present, but it's moderate? Is it low? I'm rarely stressed. I want to talk to you right now. If you're in the low or very low, you feel balanced and control. We want to know what you're doing so that we can practice some of those strategies and tools that you might want to share. All right, so it is kind of across the board, which is typical. You know, some of us might just be stressed because we're still adjusting to the time change. You know, you've seen research on that, how that can really affect people physically and mentally. But 38% are moderate. So, okay, it's manageable, but it's present. 23% high, you're feeling a little stressed. So hopefully we can give you some strategies and tools, help you identify what's the main causer of that stress. 12% of you are very high. So hopefully this is just a practice in taking some action and saying, I need to learn how to manage those triggers. And again, those low, 15% low and 12% very low, any insights you can provide us for that healthy work environment that is not creating a lot of stress for you right now. That's amazing. All right, thank you for your participation. Again, it's really important to be able to identify when we are stressed so that we can address it, so that we can manage it. Because most of us just, trudge along. We're trying to just get things done, putting out fires, and we're not taking the time to really identify the signs our body is sending us and the symptoms that are causing it. So let's first define what stress is. And according to the Mental Health Foundation, stress is really our body's response to pressure. Many different types of situations or life events can cause stress. It's often triggered when we experience something new, which new can be unexpected, but also can be good. Buying a new house, getting promoted, those can be exciting and new things, but they can be stressful as well. Or they can be things that threaten us. They threaten our sense of self, or they make us feel that we're not in control. And usually our body is sending us signals, right? Our body is acting in different ways depending on your individual self. If you may have your palms feeling sweaty, you may start getting headaches, you might feel shaky or jittery, or the opposite, your brain just shuts down from too much. You're just overwhelmed, overloaded. You might get some brain fog or confusion. And then, of course, it produces some extra cortisol. So your heart rate might speed up. You might have a little high blood pressure for those of us that have to watch that, myself included. And then, of course, your fight or flight response, right? Your amygdala is activated, that fear center of, is this a dangerous situation? Do I need to flee? Or, do I need to defend myself in some way? And we've all been in stressful situations at work, change, a crisis, and we might act differently. And the more we get to know people, they might start seeing signs before we do that we're experiencing some stress. So it's important for us to be able to identify that that's happening, right, through our signals of our body, but also identifying what is causing that stress. In order to be able to manage the stress or reduce it in any way, we want to be able to identify what's going on so that we can get some support and we can manage those. And these are some common stressors at work that are pretty relevant right now. Anybody resonating with any of these? Not feeling like you have enough time in the day to accomplish everything you want to get done. A really big one that we talk a lot about in management trainings is employees not having clear goals. And when you're experiencing a lot of change, which a lot of businesses are and have been for the last several years, sometimes we're not communicating enough. What are the expectations? What are the goals when we make those big changes? And it leaves employees hanging a little bit and leaving confused and not feeling guided or supported. Who am I reporting to? What's our priority today? So we'll talk about some ways we can address that. Change is happening. It has been happening a lot. So we want to be able to communicate well, but when we don't, a lot of miscommunication, things get lost in translation, and that can create a lot of stressful situations. Not having trust within your team, within your leadership, feeling like you're micromanaged, you don't have a lot of autonomy. All of these can be stressors. Any of those stand out? Oh, thank you, Rachel. Low, but with kids high. Yeah, we can relate. Now, when we're talking about stress, a lot of times we do use the terms interchangeably between stress and burnout. But stress is really that over engagement, right? We're feeling pressure, maybe time pressure, that lack of time, changing, having to pivot really fast, and our emotions are running high. Things might kick into overdrive, hyperactivity again, our blood pressure, our heart rate might increase, or it might you might feel a loss of energy, like so much is going on, I don't know where to start. And so that might lead to some anxiety disorders, but it's usually revealing itself through physical symptoms. Now, burnout, on the other hand, is really a dissociation, right? We become really disengaged, practically emotionless. We become ambivalent about things, maybe feeling hopeless that we're not able to manage the stressors that are causing this. We might feel depressed. So it's really more of a mental distress, right? The primary damage is emotionally and mentally. And according to the World Health Organization, in 2019, they classified burnout as an occupational phenomenon. And they identified 3 characteristics for burnout, which is that energy depletion or exhaustion, just not feeling like you can, rejuvenate, even if you have a long weekend or a vacation. That increased mental distance, and especially from the work environment, right? This is really happening as a result of work. So not feeling connected. So you might start observing that with employees who used to be really engaged and really enthusiastic about work and the mission and the purpose. And now they're not speaking up as much. They're just not as enthusiastic or on board. And then the last one is reduced professional efficacy. So really not being able to perform at highest level. And as a manager or leader, it's really important that we are monitoring for signs of burnout, which can show up either physically, as we mentioned. It can be psychological signs. Again, that ambivalence can create some panic attacks. Maybe we haven't experienced those before, but now we're starting to experience those. And again, those feelings of either anger, resentment, frustration, or irritability about things that are happening. And then behavioral. So again, we can look for these signs. Really important to start having conversations with our employees who may be showing some signs of these burnout. And Gallup, in their research, this is from an article they wrote called Employee Burnout, Main Causes and Cures. And they have identified 5, which again, you may relate to. It may resonate for those of you who are feeling extremely high or high levels of stress right now. And number 1 was the unmanageable workload, right? We're all working harder, but are we working smarter, right? And even very high performing employees can quickly shift from being that optimistic and enthusiastic employee, getting everything done, to being kind of hopeless or drowning in everything that they're trying to manage. So really important. We'll talk about how we can address that unmanageable workload when it seems out of control for employees, because employees really are looking to their managers to be their advocates for what they can and can't accomplish, and finding support for them in those areas. Number 2 is lack of role clarity. And again, when we're experiencing a lot of change in the workplace, it sometimes happens so fast, we haven't really explained or communicated how the change is going to happen or what role each employee is going to play. And this is one of the number 1 elements, according to Gallup's Q12 survey, which lists employee engagement in terms of what is expected of them at work. The majority of employees say they're unclear on what the expectations are. So we need to do a really good job of communicating what are those clear expectations. What is your role? What is it going to look like on a day-to-day basis? And not only during the onboarding, but throughout the work cycle, especially if we have changes that are going to impact employees. So role clarity is 60% of workers agree that they know what is expected of them at work, which is getting better, but we still have work to do. The next one is unfair treatment at work. So when employees agree that they're often treated unfairly at work, they're more likely to experience a high level of burnout. Unfair treatment can include everything from bias, favoritism, and mistreatment by a coworker to unfair compensation or corporate politics. And when employees do not trust their manager, their teammates, or even their leadership, it breaks that bond that makes work meaningful and helps support and create that healthy work environment. Then we have number 4, lack of support from the manager. And the manager support, most managers actually underestimate how much influence they have on their employee engagement. And manager support and frequent communication really provide that psychological buffer that they have our backs, right? They're really there to support us. And employees know that if something goes wrong, they can go to their managers. Employees who strongly agree that they feel supported by their manager, about 70% less likely to experience burnout. So managers really do have a huge impact on employee engagement, on the culture, and how employees feel in terms of being supported. And then number 5 is that time pressure, that feeling of not having enough time to get things done. And employees say, when employees say they often or always have enough time, of course, again, they're less likely to experience burnout. So we want to kind of create some ways and strategies that we can help address these most common reasons for burnout in the workplace, so that we embed that wellness into our culture, and we're not always addressing and dealing with people experiencing burnout. Now, when these are in place, the negative impacts of burnout can be significant, which none of these are probably going to come as a surprise, but 63% when they're feeling stress or burnout are more likely to take a sick day, right? Those physical, mental, and psychological stressors are impacting our mental and physical health. We're 50% less likely to really discuss future goals with our managers, right? Do we really trust them enough? If some of those are in play where we're not really having that trust with our managers, are really going to be enthusiastic about discussing the future? Do we really have hope that we're going to be still employed in the next year or so? Or maybe are we looking for an exit? 23% more likely to visit the ER. Again, those physical issues, when they don't go address that stress, will impact our health. And then 13% less likely to be confident at work, right? When any of these are in play, we're really not feeling that psychological safety, that we belong, that we're valued, that we're seen, that we heard. So we're probably not going to feel like we're doing our best work either. So with those that we listed, which ones do you think might be coming into play in your workplace? Let me put it, you can put more than one. So what's maybe behind, what are some of the causes of burnout that might be happening within your organization? Again, you haven't maybe thought about it, or maybe you are thinking about it. So just kind of gauging by your observations, what might be happening with people? I mean, I can tell you we're all just experiencing a lot of work overload, a lot of change. Give you just a few more seconds since there's such a great number of you. But already seeing, work overload is high up there, of course. Lack of that role clarity, right? Really knowing what is expected of me at work in order to do my best job and really thrive. I'm going to need some clear expectations, right? Otherwise, I'm just kind of muddling through. I'm kind of just assuming what my role is. So that's an important one. All of these are significant. All right, I think we've got about everybody. And if you didn't get a chance, you can put anything in the chat as well. So here are the results. So yeah, on top of it is work overload for sure. Then 46% is that lack of role clarity. So knowing the expectations. 36% lack of manager support, really not feeling that my manager maybe cares about me, that they're identifying that, I've got a lot on my plate, and how do we delegate, or how do we unload some of that? And if you did put other, feel free to put that in the chat as well. The time pressure, 25%, unfair treatment, 18%. And it only takes one of these, by the way, to really, if it's chronic, right? If it's not just temporary, we have a deadline, we're going to meet it, and then we'll have a healthy work environment. If it's chronic, if it hasn't been addressed or managed or resolved, only one area of these can really cause someone to experience burnout. Let alone add another one or two or three, and then someone's really in the weeds. So again, thank you for your participation. So let's look at some strategies on how to address this. And we'll take addressing work overload because, that's the number one you guys answered. I just kind of thought maybe that would be the first one. So addressing work overload, one way is really to take a people first approach, and companies are shifting to that people first approach, which really means, putting those employees first. We care about the environment for the employees, what workloads do they have, can they manage it? And we want employees to feel valued for their efforts and supported by us as leaders. Why are they feeling stressed about their work? Really identifying what about the workload is overwhelming. Is it because we've had layoffs or we've had some turnover and we haven't had new staff come in? If we haven't, done an employee survey in a while, maybe we do a survey to find out what is causing the stress or what is causing the work overload. Having one-on-ones, obviously, having conversations about that, but really creating that safe environment. I can say here at CEA, within our department that I work at, our director really created a safe space. So when we do get together each week, that we're allowed to say when we have a lot on our plates and what that is. And if anybody can help us and support us, that includes our manager as well as our colleagues and peers. And also we're allowed to say when we don't have a lot on our plate, right? And we're not stigmatized for it because work ebbs and flows. Some individuals get a busier time. And so we can pitch in and say, gosh, I don't have a lot on my plate this week. I can help you, Anna. I can help you with that presentation, or I can help you with that employee handbook that you're working on. And she really emphasized that from day one, so that we don't feel any shame or embarrassment to say, gosh, I've got a lot going on. Can anybody help or support me? So we do really feel supported, not only from our manager who implemented that, but also from our peers and colleagues. Next, there is a shift in the workplace to really, focus on what is getting done. What are the outcomes, not necessarily the hours achieved. And that is part of the flexibility and hybrid, shifting to, as long as you get the work done, I don't care when you get the work done. Obviously, we still have hourly employees. They need to work within specific hours. But really, it is about how can we work smarter and not harder and not just more additional hours. So really restructuring how we work. And that goes for flexibility too. Flexibility, remote and hybrid. Now we're getting very used to, but we still haven't put in some flexibility structures. So sometimes it still leaves employees wondering, am I supposed to go in the office today? Am I supposed to stay at home? When am I supposed to be available for this call or that? So we're seeing employers kind of reassign and restructure how they do things so that the structure is there as well as the flexibility, because a lot of us kind of went into this and just implemented flexibility without really creating that infrastructure of what is to be expected, right? And some employers struggle with people coming on site. Is there a purpose? Is there a meaning for when people are coming on site? Are we having a special meeting? Are we having a special event? Are we having a special collaboration or brainstorming to make it more meaningful and purposeful for employees as well? And then one of the most underutilized tools for managers is really to delegate effectively. And that includes our own work, right? We wear many hats as managers and leaders, identifying what potential there is amongst our teams who can take some things off our plate, which really actually in turn motivates and empowers employees, right? We don't want to just delegate and give and assign randomly. We want to assign to those people who have the interest, who have the potential, and can possibly acquire those skills and feel empowered, and have that autonomy with that new skill. Yes, temporarily, sometimes we're all in a crisis. We've got to pitch in, and do those tasks that maybe we don't necessarily love. But when we delegate effectively and strategically, we want to assign tasks to people who really want to do them and can really succeed and thrive. These are their natural talents that they're leaning to. More specifically, what managers can do in terms of preventing burnout and addressing it as well is listening, which I'm sure sounds very simple, which is good, because the best way to prevent burnout is having managers who are actively listening to what the work-related problems are and making attempts to resolve those and address them in collaboration with their employees, right? It's going to be the first step in supporting them and showing your team that you really do care. Next, you really do want to encourage that team collaboration environment that we can pitch in with each other. If my load is a little bit lighter, how can I help this person? Or if I have more expertise in that area, how can I get my teammate up to speed who might be doing it for the first time? And then creating that safe space. And creating that safe space means making everybody's opinion count, right? We really want our employees to be able to express their concerns, their challenges, their issues. And not everybody feels comfortable to do that in a group meeting. So making sure we have opportunities or give opportunities to employees to provide, to do that one-on-one, to have a private meeting, either virtually or on site. So that people do feel seen and heard. And then another way is making work purposeful. If we are making some significant changes in the workplace, really communicating the why to employees, so that they're not left wondering, why are we doing this now? Why are we changing? Making sure we align our changes with our mission, with our values. We're doing this, we're working a lot. We're working really hard on this project right now because these are the outcomes we want to see, so that the employee can really visualize what the purpose and the meaning is when we're doing things. And it's not just extra work, right? And then also, as we're delegating effectively and seeing the potential and strengths in our individual employees, we want to focus on those strengths when we provide feedback, when we're developing that employee, when we're talking about goals, performance goals for the future. We really want to think about what are their natural talents and abilities that they've already demonstrated. And then next, we want to provide that support and build that trust. Building trust and support in the workplace really does help reduce burnout by creating that environment where employees feel safe to speak up about their workload, about challenges. It used to be people wore a badge of honor that they were working 80 hours a week. And now we are getting into this era of wanting more work-life balance. And so we want to be able to support and create that trust within our team so that they bring things up to us, and that we can address them as they come in. Also, one way we can demonstrate our support is through recognition, right? When we are going through those tough times, when we are all feeling overwhelmed, recognizing people when they are doing the hard work, when we are working understaffed, or when we are taking on new responsibilities and additional tasks, really taking the time to say thank you, but being specific with that gratitude. And then taking the time to ask questions, again, when we are thinking there might be some issues or concerns with our employees, asking those questions of how can I support you? That's one of the best questions a manager can ask, by the way. How can I support you? If someone brings an issue or a problem to me, I might immediately not have the answer. So maybe they have already been thinking about this. More than likely, they've been thinking about it for a long time. How can I support you? What are some thoughts that you have, so that we can manage your time, manage your workload together? Another thing that can really create a lot of respect and trust is pitching in and doing the work from time to time. Yes, we may be in a position of management or leadership, but we still want to get great results. So pitching in, getting our hands dirty, doing the work of our employees, not only shows them that we care, but also that we can do the work, that we know what it is, and that we can get in and do our hands work. And maybe we don't do it as well as them, but we're going to pitch in and support them and have their back. Any other thoughts on how to provide support and trust and really develop that, because it's an important part of preventing that stress and burnout? Love to hear from you all. Providing that fair and equitable workplace is so important because it is about trust. When employees trust their leaders and colleagues, will act with integrity, they feel psychologically safe. They know that their hard work will be recognized, their voices will be heard, and their concerns will be addressed. But when that trust is broken, when employees see favoritism, bias, or what seems to them arbitrary decision making, it can create that unhealthy work environment that can fuel and foster that stress and burnout. So some things to do is, obviously have a process, a procedure in place for making any complaints or challenges, issues about fair treatment, communicating that well. Don't keep it a secret. If you have an anonymous contact line that employees can call if they don't feel comfortable telling their manager, or even if they don't feel comfortable telling HR, if you have another option, make sure that's communicated well. Significantly act promptly to all concerns. That's when people start, feeling a little cynical, is when I've, shared with my manager this issue or challenge, and it doesn't seem like any action has been taken, right? So we always want to present that we're going to take those matters seriously. If it involves investigation, if it involves more research, we want to communicate that to the employee that it could take time, but we are going to investigate because it does matter to us. And then training and exhibiting, that model of what is civility and professionalism in the workplace. It's probably in our employee handbook, but our employees aren't looking at our employee handbook every day. So we want to make sure that we're modeling the behavior that we expect to see in the workplace. All right, those are just a few, but they're very critical of how to prevent and address burnout with our employees, and really embed it into our culture. And now let's look at a few more ways we can cultivate wellness into the workplace. And it's so important because when we have wellness at work, it enhances everything else. It enhances our skill set, our sense of purpose, our sense of meaning. We feel supported physically, mentally, and emotionally. We're more engaged, we're more creative, we're more resilient. Who doesn't need that right now? And these are just a few more statistics of why it's important, right? It does cost a lot of money when we're not well as employees to our employers, when we're challenged with our mental health, and when we're experiencing burnout. This all has a tremendous impact on our work environments. And these are just a few of the wellness trends that we're seeing in 2026. One of them is workplace loneliness. This is some research I saw from Cigna, and it showed that more than half of U.S. workers reported feeling lonely at work. And the pervasive loneliness can show up not only when we're working remotely or even hybrid, but it can be on site as well. If we're not feeling connected, if we're not feeling that sense of belonging to an organization, it really can create that sense of isolation. And again, that can create those triggers, those stressors, which can lead to burnout. It can also lead to disengagement, lower productivity, absenteeism, and turnover. It also can diminish trust, right? When we're not feeling that sense of belonging, we don't feel like we can speak up. We're not really feeling trust and that team collaboration that we really want. So we really want to create some structured, recurring opportunities for employees to be able to connect, right? So that they know we're not just having these events, once in a while. This is our culture. We want to be able to connect with each other. We want to be able to work well, so that we can help address any of those issues of isolation or loneliness. Another one is the distracted worker, which I think we can all relate to this one pretty well. It's an emerging pattern. It has been emerging for a while, where employees are struggling to maintain sustained focus, right? Because we're running at the pace of change. We're trying to keep up with technology, and we're human beings, right? So we're trying to multitask, which was intended for computers, not people. We have information overload. We're constantly getting interrupted by our computer, our, smartphones. For some of you are getting distracted right now by your smartphones and your computer messaging. And what results is sometimes people spend their day reacting to the input, right? Reacting to the notifications and the emails that seem urgent rather than really investing in a deep, meaningful work. And for a lot of us, we need some time to focus on a project, the higher cognitive level. The higher cognitive level, the more focus we need. Well, that's interesting, Rachel. You function better when doing multiple things. That is interesting. Yeah. Another trend that is coming into play is quiet cracking, which was kind of new to me. I think we've all may have heard of quiet quitting. That was being distributed, which was intentionally doing only what the job requires, right? So someone is feeling a little cynical about the job. They're not feeling supported. So they're just, and really wanting that work-life balance. So they're like, I'm just here from my 8 to 5. I'm just checking in and out. Might not be as engaged. Quiet cracking is a little bit different than that in terms of employees are still trying to do their best work, but they're emotionally worn down and gradually losing motivation, but they don't feel they have the support to share that with their managers, right? So they're really trying, but they're struggling, right? Because when we have all of those factors in play, it's really hard to thrive as an employee. It's really hard to do our best work. Yeah, or it can be just noise, from other people. If you have like an open cubicle environment, that can be very distracting, right? So how do we quiet the room? How do we quiet the noise? What do we need to put into place to help people when they really do have to focus? My manager called me from the office the other day, and she was looking at something and having to read it, and she says, and it wasn't anything negative, but she's like, sometimes it's hard to really focus in the office because you have those other conversations going. Another one, which isn't really a trend, but companies are really starting to focus on tailored health benefits in terms of providing those benefits that may be individual, because we are a multi-generational workforce. So we need different benefits, and different benefits may be significant at different times of our lives. So that is very appealing to employees that said, they would stay with their employee for more personalized benefit programs. In a study by Bank of America, 73%, if it was so tailored. I mean, they even have pet benefits these days. I don't have a pet, so that wouldn't be significant to me. But if we can tailor it to what our specific needs are, that can be very beneficial. And then the other trend that we're seeing is businesses really becoming more invested and allocating more budgets to mental health programs. About 86% of organizations are increasing spending on mental health programs for employees, which usually results in higher productivity and higher employee engagement when we're providing those types of support. So we're talking about wellness, we're talking about well-being, and Gallup has identified 5 areas of well-being that really impact health and work outcomes. And it seems obvious that working on a few of these, such as our physical well-being, would improve our health outcomes, but they're not sustainable on their own. And one thing that Gallup identified as they were doing research on these 5 areas of well-being is that having a purpose, and I put in parentheses career, because sometimes our purpose is outside of our career. Sometimes we have different purposes, but we want to have meaning with our career. So liking what you do each day and being motivated to achieve your goals. When we're high in all of these levels, then we're going to thrive at work. We're going to have less unhealthy days. So gauging where you are, do you have that sense of purpose in your career right now? Do you really, on a regular basis, on average, like what you do each day, doing what you do well, are motivated to achieve your goals? Do you have meaningful friendships in your life and possibly at work, right? Do you have someone you can confide in? Do you have healthy financial assets? Are you managing your financial life? Do you have a good community? Do you like where you live? Do you feel safe? Do you have pride in your community? And do you have good health? Are you focusing on that? When we have significant stressors on our life, some of these seem to go by the wayside, whether it's physical, whether it's not feeling social, or we're not just managing some of these. So they're very important. So what ways are you all focusing on promoting wellness within your organization? We've talked about some trends, talked about preventing burnout. What are some things that might be significant? Significant changes that you're either considering or you have implemented that are working for you. This is always an important one for people to share. Whoa, that's a big one, Crystal. We're creating a dedicated staff wellness center. Man, that's amazing. Love to hear more about that. But going through those 5 areas of well-being and hearing about how people are feeling less connected with each other, more lonely, we want to think of ways to promote that social well-being, right? Even if we are working in different work models of hybrid, remote, or on-site, really creating that environment and modeling it as managers and leaders, talking to each other, right? Getting to know each other, creating opportunities for us to really socialize. Even when we're onboarding people, we want to create that culture. We want to embed that culture so that they know that we want to work together. We want to collaborate together. So it's really important that we connect with each other on all the digital platforms, as well as hopefully in person when we get a chance. Team building activities that are relevant to our culture, to our purpose, to our meaning. There's nothing like creating a team building activity that nobody likes or nobody enjoyed, right? Making it beneficial for everybody, getting their input. Sometimes we have departments and divisions that don't really get to collaborate or interact with each other. So as we think about working on new assignments, like creating a wellness center, recruit people from different departments so they have an opportunity to interact and connect. When we were in the throes of the pandemic and many of us were working virtually, a lot of employers were looking for ways to connect each other, and we're having lunch and learn so we could share that knowledge or different themed events and topics that could have been about wellness and health and positive work culture. Picking people's brains individually, yes, that's a good one. Talking with employees, yes, on a regular basis, making sure you have one-on-one. Awesome. And companies are really focusing when we were talking about providing different benefits, finding ways to promote financial well-being. We know it's a tough time out there. We know it's a tough economy, especially in California. So revisiting our compensation packages, if you haven't had a compensation survey done in a while, maybe consider that. Various financial education workshops, giving people some retirement planning tools if we work with different organizations. And just additional discounts and perks. I know at CEA we're a small organization, but we get a stipend for us to use towards wellness. And it demonstrates from our leadership that they really care about us, that they want us to take care of ourselves so that we can do the best work, but just so that we're healthy and we're able to maintain. And then again, connecting back to not feeling connected, and also having that sense of purpose at work, ways to look for promoting community, right? Getting involved in the community within an organization can really help promote that sense of purpose, that we want to feel, that sense of meaning, whether it's getting involved with certain community projects or empowering employees to choose their own projects that we support. I know certain organizations have paid volunteer days. If we're already within an organization that serves the community, just finding different ways to connect with the community, or offering our services. If we have specialized skills that might benefit people in our community, how can we collectively provide those services? And then multiple sponsorships and partnerships. Yeah. Potlucks are great. Food is a great uniter, Rafaela. And also you get to see what people's specialties are, what they make and what they have. And then ways to promote physical well-being, obviously with flexible work schedules. Sometimes that can create that work-life balance. So we can get some walking in, we can get some exercise in on a regular basis. Again, customizing our benefits package maybe to include some discounts or benefits for going to a gym or yoga studio, redesigning our workstations, right? Maybe we need to make some quieter workstations so that we're not overhearing other people's conversations. Therapy, again, the stipend, as I mentioned, that we're offered at CEA, and I know some companies do mental health days, but all these are just suggestions. It has to be right for your company and your organization, and what's going to be significant for your employees. But just keep in mind that with that, there are a lot of people that you can partner with, if you're just starting to think of maybe haven't had a specific or formal program before. The local gyms, your health insurance providers, brokers, financial wellness experts, nutritionists, dietitians. We're in California. You name it, we've got it. So you can potentially partner with a lot of people who have good advice, and can give you some great guidance and efforts as you create a program, or you're refining a program, or just want to add some things that have been requested by your employees because you did an employee survey. And with all of that, sounds like you don't, but don't forget about the fun. Yes, we have a lot of things going on in the world, in our workplaces, a lot of changes. We do have a lot of responsibility and deadlines, but if you can incorporate some fun into the workplace, that can be extremely impactful for employees, their wellness, their sense of well-being, when it's authentic and aligned with your culture. So these are just a few. We're a huge pet organization at CEA, so a host pet day sounds pretty good for our team. But when we have those memories, that keeps us going, that builds that resilience, and trust and connection with each other, so that the culture is embedded, the culture of wellness is embedded. So as we end this session today, there's some key takeaways. Burnout is a workplace issue, not a personal issue. There are some major causes of burnout that we want to address and prevent. Early recognition allows for us to prevent some of that burnout, and leadership and managers play a major role in providing that culture of workplace wellness and well-being. And how employees feel about their work determines how they work, whether they're just surviving or whether they're thriving. So we really truly want to focus on how we can embed wellness into the work culture. So what is one takeaway that you have, either from me or from your peers here today who've given some amazing suggestions, that you can take action on to bring wellness into the workplace? And either throw it in the chat, or as you think of that, I just want to bring your attention to CEA is offering a new service that they've titled Grow a Healthy Workplace. So if you haven't done a culture assessment in a while on your employees, we can help you with that. If you have some lingering unresolved employee issues, we can help you with some conflict resolution. And if you want to empower your leaders with the skills to be better communicators and better managers and team members, we offer leadership coaching as well. And there's QR code and a website that you can go if any of that piques your interest. And while you're weighing all of that over, I will pass it over to Anna to wrap us up for the day.
All right. Thank you, Keisha. I love this training so much. I always get something professionally and then something personally that I can always be fine tuning. So I really, really love this. Love this training and really do. You spoke to everything that CEA does as an organization, and I can definitely attest to how we are celebrated and taken care of. And I do love all these suggestions in the chat too. What a wonderful engagement we had today. So I do want to take care of a little bit of housekeeping as we wrap up today. As you see, your codes are on the screen. So if you are here for continuing education credits, we do have HRCI 734432. SHRM code is 26-X7NC3. If you have any questions about what to do with those codes or run into any trouble, you can always reach out to us, CEA info@employers.org, or just reach out on the complimentary HR hotline, and we are more than happy to guide you in the right direction. I did drop a link into the chat a moment ago, as well as there's a QR code on the screen. We would love to continue bringing you peace of mind by hearing directly from you. So if you could take a minute to answer 5 very brief questions, that would be really, really helpful to continue to serve you with trainings like this. And then, as Keisha mentioned, that new resource that we're trying to get some feedback on and share with everyone is a Grow a Healthy Workplace through employers.org. But I do want to also, let's see, do you have anything else, Carmela or Angelica? I know you just popped back on screen. I just want to make sure. Oh, she beat me to it. Carmela just dropped the link into the chat for not the Grow a Healthy Workplace, Employer of Choice series, excuse me, too many things talking about at the same time. Employer of Choice series starting in April. Again, that's 3 weeks in a row. Really, really a great series that we've all put together in collaboration with San Bernardino. Was there any other final housekeeping you wanted to mention before we send everyone else on their way?
We still have funds for business process improvement projects, you guys. So reach out to me if you feel you need any kind of assistance with your business.
Love it. Amazing. Such a wealth of resources here at San Bernardino. We greatly appreciate your partnership and your generosity in providing not just the HR hotline, but this series of webinars, especially that Employer of Choice series starting in April. So make sure to open up that tab, clear your calendar and register, and then we'll see you next month. Look for the PDF slide deck as well as the link to the recording once that becomes available from your partners over at San Bernardino. And with that, we'll see everyone for this amazing series over in April. Thank you all so much and enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.
Great job.